try it again. Recording. There it goes. It says it's recording now. Okay. So this is Ruth Will. I don't know what happened to the first part of the recording. But
do you see it recorded?
I see it.
On yours?
Yes, I can see it recording on
Okay, it's not, it doesn't show up on mine. Okay, that's fine.
We are recording here. I didn't notice it earlier. Okay, so briefly, we're going to go over the first two levels of the compensation plan because this is geared to somebody that's new. When they first started, they want to know, how do I get paid? How do I get promoted, right? That's pretty much what they want to know. So I'm only going to go through the first two levels of promotion because once they get to that point, then we can continue the rest of the compensation plan for them. So hopefully that's okay. So the first thing I ask people to do is go look at the policy and procedure online. And that's really important. If you scroll to page like 19 or 20, that's where the compensation starts. And I ask them to read I think it's only maybe 3 or 4 pages at most. And just to get an idea of how all this stuff works. So when a person joins, typically most of my people are customers first. But then they self-identify and they're like, I really love the stuff and I think I want to share it with people. And so they decide to self-identify and they join me as a consultant. So when they join, right off the bat, as they go and gather their customers, they are able to make 20% retail profit. And the way that works is if they go out and sell something for $100 retail, they will automatically make 20%, so $20. So if you have $100 here and you make a $20 profit, what's remaining is what we call the QPPV. So PV stands for, well, I'm not sure how you can call it. Where's my glasses so I can, so it's quality, QPPV. So I don't know the exact terms, what they call it, but I always call point volume is what I call it. So you have to have, so the $80 becomes your point volume. And that's a real critical number to know. So PV or QPPV is point volume or personal volume. And then there's CV, which is commissionable volume. And that's a very important number to know also because that's how your check is calculated. So if I had something that we sell at $100 retail, you make a 20% profit, which is $20, which brings it to $80 is your QPPV. Then if it's $80 QPPV, then typically our CV runs approximately 60%. So if you had an $80 QPPV, CV is $48. Okay, so you follow me for those steps.
That's commissionable volume.
Correct. And that's an important number because that's what, when we get our levels of promotion, that's where the additional commissions come in.
Right? Typically it's 60%?
I say 60, the waterfall is like 80%, which is wonderful. Right. And I average about 60. I think that's conservative and that's a safe way. Some of the auto ship stuff may be closer to 55%. It just depends. Each item is different. So instead of going to the individual item, I just say ballpark approximately 60% is a good measure for that. So, okay, so we understand the retail, the QPPV, and the CV, right? You guys are good with that. I just want to make sure that's really, that concept is important to grasp and to understand completely. So when a person joins, like I said, they pay the $99, they join, and right off the bat, they're entitled to earn the retail commission, which is that $20 of the $100 sale, right? But they'll get a few customers and they'll make these sales and that's wonderful, but they only are entitled to the retail profit percentage. So to tell them if you want to make more, you want to shoot for the first level of promotion, right? And our first level of promotion, everything has to do with points. And points go from the first of the month to the last day of the month. Okay, so everything, luckily for going our first level of promotion, they give you 3 months. But so what it is they want 1,500 points, which is that QPPV, right? So in my previous example, it's that $80 number, that QPV. And so we need that to be $1,500 or 1,500 points, right? And so you can do it in 3 months, which is 3 consecutive months. But there's a few other requirements. So if you want a particular month to, let's say June, July, and August. And June, if you want June or July or August to count towards those points to count to the 1,500, you must have in that month that you want to be counted 100 QPPV. So that's the first thing I always teach people, you know, make sure you do the 100 QPPV. It's really important. And I'm going to talk about the Power Start, which is another incentive that we have for brand new people in a second. But let me get through just how to get to the levels of promotion. So to become the first level promotion, you need 1,500 points. And points is that QPPV points. That's what we're talking about. And you have 3 months to do it. And the months that you want to count for those points to be included in the 1,500, you must at least do 100 QPPV. We're good, right? So once you do that, and you can do it in 1 month, you can do it in 2 months, you can do it in 3 months. You have up to 3 months. I highly encourage people to do it in 1 month because it's not that difficult. You get a handful of customers, you do a waterfall and some insoles and some nutritionals. It adds up quite quickly. Plus, if you have your own personal purchases that you want, you can enter it as a retail order and those points will also count, right? So you need, you know, so that I think to get to the 1,500 points is very doable in 1 month. The beauty of it, say you get it done in 3 weeks, right? So in 3 weeks, what happens is at the 1,500 point mark, you then get to what we call, the title is called executive. And it then you get an additional 10% on CV. So do you remember when I had my first example, the $100 was retail, the $20 was the profit, the QPPV was the $80, and the CV was 48. Remember the 48? So that CV is what, once you become an executive and it gives you that 10%, it's on the CV. So now when a person sells that $100 thing, whatever it is, they're going to make the $20 profit, the retail profit. Now they're also going to get 10% of the $48. So that's $4.80. So on a $100 sale, they're going to make $24.80 when they become executive. And the other thing that's really nice about NECAN that they do is that, say, like I said, say they do the 1,500 points in 3 weeks. Well, the first dollar right after that 1,500, so say it's 1,500 and say it's 1,600, that $100 between 1,500 and 1,600, right away, NECAN's going to pay them the extra 10% on the CV of that. That is really wonderful because many companies don't do that. You have to like earn your ring, and sometimes you have to wait 2 more months. Like you don't get paid right away. So we are really blessed that NECAN right away has it in their system. There's, you know, they're so high tech in so many ways. It's really pretty cool that you will get paid right away. So that is a really, really nice benefit because I can tell you personally, I've been in other, I've only been in one other network marketing company, but I had to earn my rank and then I had to wait another month or 2 before I got paid. And like, that's crazy because I did the work. Why don't I get it, right? So that is a great thing about our compensation plan. So that's our first level promotion. It's called executive. We're all good with that? Yeah?
Yep.
Our next level of promotion is called silver. And I always tell people that's where you want to go. Don't be hanging out at direct or executive. You want to get to silver because that's our first level of leadership. And what happens is now our bonuses, so remember that CV number I said as an executive, you get 10% of the CV? Well, as a silver, you get double that. You get 20% of CV. And, you know, that's nothing to, I mean, that's pretty good to double your money just by getting that next level. So how do you get to that next level? You need to now do 6,000 points. And when I talk about points, it's never about just you. It's always about you and all your customers and all the people that wanted to upgrade and be consultants. Everybody's points counts in that 6,000 points, right? But you have 3 consecutive months. And so it's the same thing. You know, if you want that month to count, you need to have at least 100 QPPV points. And I always have in front of me a printout of my compensation plan, and I highlight those requirements so that, you know, that 100 QPPV is a really good habit to start brand new people doing. And actually, I like to do 500 because that's that quality enrollment that we talk about, and I'm going to explain that in a second. So
Yeah, well,
is 100.
can you just say that, you'd like to do 500 rather than 100?
Yeah, and I'm going to explain why, because I think it's a really good habit. But,
All right.
But at a minimum, you should always do 100. Everybody should do 100.
Yeah.
That's just crazy not to, right? You know, a bottle of J. Green, a KVB, and a lactoferrin. You know, it's easy to get to 100 points for your customers. It's not even your own stuff. It's, you know, everybody, your customers too, right? So that's really cool. So to go silver, you have 3 consecutive months. And you could do it in 1 month, you could do it in 6 weeks, you could do whatever, but you have up to 3 months. But the month that you know you're going to hit your 6,000 points, So say, you start and you go June, so technically you have June, July, and August. But say in the middle of July, you're very close to your 6,000, right? And the 6,000 points is your customers, which is the stuff under your ID number, and then your team members, anybody that has joined as a consultant. All those points roll up to accumulate to the 6,000. So 6,000 is actually QPGPV. So that stands for group volume. Okay, so it's and it's the same. The 1,500 also is group volume. I'm so sorry, I should have made that clarification. But so you get the 1,500 to go executive is also you, your customers, and any of your group team members that have joined, and same with the 6,000. But in the month that you go silver, the month that you do the 6,000, there's 2 additional requirements, and it's very simple. It's just 2 questions. You have to look at it. Question 1 first. And then you evaluate, and then question 2 second. So the first question when you go silver is the first thing it requires, like, do you have $1,000 or 1,000 points? And these are all group QPGPV. Right? I need to put my glasses on. This print is so tiny.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
What it is 1,000. So you ask yourself, you look at this number, you have 6,000, or you're creeping up to 6,000 in the 7 or 8 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. And the month it's happening in July, you need to look and say, okay, do I have 1,000 outside of my primary leg? And all that means is, like, you technically should have 2 team members on your team. They don't have to have rank. So say one person has a $100 order, person A has a $100 order, and person B has a $50 order. Well, person A becomes your primary leg, and person B is your secondary leg. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, so you have the primary and secondary leg. So you go back, and the first requirement is in the month that you have accumulated a total of 6,000 between June and July, you have to say to yourself, okay, do I have 1,000 points that's not in my primary, it's not under my person A? And that's very easy. Typically, it's a yes. Typically, because you're more experienced, so your new people are not as experienced, and so you will probably, between your B person, right? We have an A and we have a B. So your A person has a $100 order and the B person has 50, right? So you have to say, okay, is there at least 1,000 points of this total 6,000 points outside of person A? Well, the person A only has 100, so of course there's got to be more outside of there. So check.
That includes customers, right?
Well, when you say customers, that includes your customers and their customers, right? Your person A has maybe one or 2 customers, but total for that person A is only 100 points. I'm just saying that. I'm just
Right.
saying that.
But if I have a lot of customers and say 3.
Your customers, your own customers? Yes, absolutely. So your own customers. So when you look at A and B, you have to say, do I have 1,000 outside of A? And that 1,000, yes, includes your own customers. And that is not difficult to do because you're growing, you have customers, and you have other team members. So this may be A and this may be B, but maybe you have a bunch of people that are $30 and it adds up, right? Who knows? But you have to look at your primary and secondary leg. Okay, so if you have, the first question is always, do you have $1,000 over that's outside of primary leg? And you say yes, check.
Points.
Second question, do you have at least 500 out of primary and secondary leg? That's the second question. So you need to look at your numbers, and you need to look and say, okay, A has $100 and B has $50. Do I have 500 out of A and B? Well, you must if you're close to your 6,000. And that's all you need. Those are the 2 questions that you have to ask. And that's the point that a lot of people get confused. And I'm not sure why, but a lot of people do. The primary and secondary don't have to be 1,000, don't have to be 500, whatever. You just have to look at your 2 top people. Say you have 5 people. And like I said, maybe A was 100 and B was 50 and C was 50 and D was 50 and A, B, C, D, E, F was 25, whatever. But you just look at the 2 top ones. Doesn't matter what they are. One's going to be higher than the other. That becomes your primary. And then the second one that's highest becomes your secondary. And the question you ask is, when I get to the month that I do my 6,000 in total, do I have $1,000 outside of primary? Yes, I do. Check. Second question I ask, Do I have $500 out of primary and secondary? That's not the $500.
But you don't mean dollars, you mean points.
Points. Yes, points. Everything is points. Everything is points.
And Ruth, when you're talking A and B, they are consultants under you,
Absolutely.
not
is a leg.
customers. So who are doing something at least.
When we talk legs, they are joined
Right.
up with consultants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Customers are
Just to
customers.
clarify.
Please refer to customer as a customer.
Right.
Everybody else is a leg.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But what I think is confusing for people is our own customers are outside that primary and secondary leg if they're not consultants. So
Correct. A customer is a customer is a customer. It is not a leg. A leg.
and those points count for outside the primary.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Because
it isn't like leg B and leg C have to have the 1,000 and the 500. It's just anything that's outside those two things has
correct.
to be.
Correct. And the sooner
And
you grasp that
So if
concept,
you have customers, if you have customers that have 1,500 points, you have accomplished that.
even if you're a customer that has 600 points, whatever the total is, as long what is the question? The first question, is there 1,000 outside of primary leg? That's what you have to look at. You look at your genealogy. Do you have at least 1,000? The month that you go silver, is there at least $1,000 outside of this person? You just look at it, and it could be whatever mix it is.
Right.
Whatever the mix is, it doesn't matter. You just have to know. You got to go to your genealogy and you look. Who are my top 2 people? Who's got the top 2 volumes? Right. That's your primary and that's your secondary. Then the next step is you have to ask the question. Question 1, is there $1,000 outside of that primary, that person that was your primary? Is it $1,000 out of that? Yes, there is. Check. Second question. What's the second question?
Is there $500 outside?
Of primary and secondary.
Right. So if
And
there,
did you do that? Yes, it is. Check. That's it. Done.
and you can have like one customer, is this right? One customer that's my own customer and is not a consultant. If they have 1,500 points, that is outside my primary and secondary leg, if they're not a consultant. So,
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't even mean that I have to have it in 2 different people. It just means that if I have 2 consultants, leg 1 and leg 2, and I have a customer that orders $1,500, those 1,500 points still count outside that leg, even if it's only one.
But this is the thing, Carol. You need to listen to your words. One is called a customer, and the other ones are called consultants.
Right.
So customer is under you is always outside of a leg because
Right.
a leg is a consultant.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
pretty black and white. Don't confuse the two. A customer is a customer is a customer. A consultant is a leg, is a consultant, is a team member. They are 2 distinct things. Don't confuse your points together.
Got
If
it. Yeah.
something comes from a customer, that is a customer. And that's where people, I think, get confused. Like, well,
They do.
and we do have customers that will buy a whole sleep system, like a king system and a waterfall and some nutritional.
Yeah.
It's $2,000, but they don't want to join because they don't want to share. They don't want to do it as a business. They just love the products. That's where,
Right.
and to me, amen to that, because that's retail profit, girl.
Amen.
So don't confuse the two. Customer is customer. Consultants are consultants. The consultant points you want to accumulate. That's part of your team, and that's how you get that's part of your QPGPV. Okay, so as long as you keep those 2 things clear, and you ask the first question and the second question, and just look at your gene. And when you're new going silver, it's not like you have 500 people to look. You'll probably only have 8 or 9. It's not that difficult. You print up the genealogy and you just look at it, right? It's not going to be a lot, and that's how they start. And then you become silver. Good?
Now, so
wait, I think, do you want me to keep recording? Because let's see, I'm going to stop recording and see.